Hello! This story is part of a series titled Memories of Tehran. We all have special places in our lives. Places where we are not accountable to anyone, our hearts can sing, and our imaginations can run wild. Karaj was one of those places for me. Welcome to Storytime with Kumars. My name is Kayo Jijina, and this is my story titled Karaj on Wings of Butterflies. I hope you enjoy it. When I think of family outings, Karaj comes to mind. In the 1960s, Karaj was a village, approximately 20 to 30 kilometers northwest of Tehran, on the foothills of the Alborz Mountains. Made up of small farms, fruit orchards bordered the river and hillside. The cooler mountain temperatures attracted city dwellers for picnics, and those with money built summer houses. Dad loved to fish. In order to gain access to the river, you needed permission from the landowner. This was possible for a small fee. The night before a Karaj outing, which usually took place on a weekend, the weekends being Thursday or Friday, Dad would be up preparing the tackle box, and I would ask if I could help him. It was how I learnt about spinners, tying specialty knots, barbed hooks, and mix and matching lines. Some items Dad needed were not easily purchased in a shop back then. Dad made his own fishing weights by melting lead bars and pouring it into a cast he had specially designed. Worms he gathered from Granny's garden were kept in clay flower pots on the balcony of our Kuche Bahman apartment. My job was to make sure the soil remained moist and did not dry out. For the picnic, Mom would prepare sandwiches, wrap them in wax paper, and have snacks on the side. Dad's favorite was a potato, onion, and egg dish, whose Indian name I no longer remember. At the time, I couldn't wait to get my hands on the bologna sandwiches with extra pickles. As we got to know the families who tended the land, we would bring packages of my favorite strawberry-flavored wafer biscuits to the abundance of young people who seemed to turn up out of nowhere. Karaj was where I first laid eyes on a pair of sheep. They were eating grass in the orchard, tied to a short lead. I was fascinated by their full wool coat, and they seemed to be talking to each other as they ate. Dad suggested we keep our distance, not knowing how they might react to strangers, but all I wanted to do was run my fingers through their wool and see if they would play. On one fishing trip, 2 of Dad's friends came with. They were new and did not understand the rule about keeping a safe distance when someone was casting a rod. A hook snagged one of my dad's friends in the thumb. The wire cutters and mercurychrome came out of the emergency kit. Dad had to push the barbed section of the hook through before snipping it and applying the antiseptic. After watching the pain ordeal unfold, I thereafter ran for the hills any time someone so much as looked like they were preparing to cast a rod. One day, I caught part of a television show called Daniel Boone with Fess Parker. The show was not on the approved watch list for children. Brother and I would sneak some of it until Mom figured it out and would yell from the kitchen for us to turn it off. On the show, a Cherokee tribesman by the name of Mingo, played by Ed Ames, wore a loincloth over his pants. And I wanted to be just like him. I made my own loincloth costume. Back in those days, Mom made most of our clothes for us, or they were hand-me-downs. So asking Mom to cut some fabric and teach me to sew was a simple request. On our next trip to Karaj, I brought my loincloth along. As we neared the picnic area, I decided to slip into my loincloth and was faced with the error of my design. The loincloth was not large enough to fit over my pants and began to pull at the seams. I decided to remove my pants and wear my loincloth over my underwear. Mom questioned my logic, but saw the determination in my face and left me alone. After reaching the picnic area, I waited for everyone to vacate the jeep before removing my pants and slipping into my loincloth. I didn't want them to see me in my underwear. It fit loosely and kept sliding down, so I tucked it into my jockey band. I began running around just like Mingo did, full of energy and vigor. Within minutes, the stitching began to fall apart. The loincloth slipped down to the ground, and I was standing there in my dreaded underwear. Embarrassed by the laughter, I retreated to the jeep and changed back into my pants. That was my last attempt at dressing in loincloths. Karaj was a place where I experienced nature. I remember a rose garden where butterfly wings flickered and danced in numbers I had never seen before or ever since, as they hunted for nectar and collected pollen. One of the kids who lived at the farm showed me how to carefully take hold of butterflies, and then gently set them free without harming their fragile wings. On our next trip, I decided to bring a few butterflies home with me for our landlord, whose garden seemed void of butterflies. I brought a shoebox with me and gently placed about a dozen butterflies into it and covered the box up with a lid. On the way home, Mom asked if she could see the butterflies and peeked into the box. I carefully cracked the lid open, not wanting any to escape. What I saw horrified me. There were broken fragments of wings scattered all over the box. The butterflies, once alive and doing their dance as they flew from flower to flower, now lay dead in the box. At first, I could not understand how this happened. I had been so careful. With a little bit of time and some help from Mom and Dad, a realization began to sink in. These were delicate creatures, not meant to be transplanted or confined to tight places, not even for a short period of time. Most things were better left undisturbed in nature where they belonged. It is said the universe sends us teachings when we need it most in our lives. Sometimes it comes from a parent, a friend, or a teacher. But most often I find it comes through real-life experiences. This one had come to me on the wings of butterflies.